Hello and welcome to another episode of FPV Exclusive. Today we want to dive into more of the creators and influencers that are out there. So today we have a special guest. Named the president of Rotor Riot in 2018, everybody please welcome Drew Camden, aka Drib.
Yeah, man, thanks for having me on the show.
So I wanted to dive into you personally a little bit about your content creation and influence in the market of drones, and then a little bit on the Rotor Riot also, because Rotor Riot is such a huge name in the FPV industry. But before we get to that, let's do some quick rapid fire questions to get to know you a little.
All right.
What is your favorite hair color?
Definitely purple.
Purple? Do you have a comfort food?
Ooh, pizza?
Pizza. Thin crust or thick crust?
Thin.
Do you have a favorite movie?
Let's go with Dark Knight.
Do you have a secret or unknown skill?
I can juggle mediocrely. Is that a word?
And do you have any fears or phobias? What are you scared of?
Scared of? I'm kind of afraid of heights.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm
afraid of falling.
Falling, there you go. You're not falling in a drone, you're crashing normally.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, back in 2016, you joined Rotor Riot, or roughly around that time. And then 2 years later, named president of Rotor Riot. You had a degree in engineering physics and had a promising job at General Motors, and you left that to play on YouTube and with hobbies. What was that like for you? How did you leave a comfortable, steady job for something that's not quite sure yet?
Well, you know the job I was working, it was like being on train tracks that had been laid before, and it was actually a lot of hard work. You know, it's difficult to get an engineering degree and difficult to work in a large competitive company like General Motors, but it was at the same time following a path that I felt was like what I was supposed to be doing and not necessarily what I wanted to be doing. When I found the drone thing, when I really got like into it, like I knew I wanted to find a way to get more involved in that. And it was an instant. It took a long time. And, as it kind of came together, doing a YouTube vlog and going from building to flying to making a video, this whole like ecosystem of having to do something mechanical, then practice like a physical skill, and then actual like an artistic practice of editing. It was just like this perfect storm of everything I wanted to be doing. So I knew I wanted to find a way to like dedicate my life to that. And I always had a big respect for what Rotor Riot was doing. And when Chad Kappa reached out to me, seemingly out of the blue, and Chad was actually looking to find me a job in the industry. He had a couple different opportunities lined up, but as we were kind of talking about different things that I could be doing, he was like, honestly, I just want you to work for me. Like, would you work for Rotor Riot? I said, well, hell yeah. So then I took a full-time position with Rotor Riot as an employee, doing very similar to what I was doing at GM, kind of speccing different products we wanted to do and kind of managing projects and things like that. And then from there, just kind of took on more responsibilities and just kept trying to dig deeper and deeper in.
Seems like you started at the right time, and with a little bit of motivation and good timing, things kind of snowballed for you in a good way and just kind of kept building up.
Like going back to what I was saying about GM being this kind of more set train track. I mean, that's way more financially lucrative and financially stable, but it doesn't deliver that same satisfaction, right? You're working for the vacation hours in a sense, whereas now, I mean, I don't think I've taken a vacation in years, but I love work every day.
So going into your vlog and your filming, do you plan every time you go out to film, like we're going to go here, we're going to get these shots, or do you just kind of go out, film everything, and then bring it back and see what you got on the computer and kind of make the edit from there?
Now, if there is a specific theme to the video, like if I know I'm going to be integrate like a trick tutorial or something like that, then I'll probably have a spot in mind and, you know, have some things planned out that I'm going to talk about, because obviously there's a subject. But for the most part, it's very organic, which I like, because, you know, Rotor Riot has become a lot, like the shoots for Rotor Riot are way more planned. There's a lot more thought that gets put into, you know, how, you know, what are we trying to deliver to the audience? How are we going to do that? How are we best utilizing the pilots that we've flown in to be part of this shoot? You know, you make sure you want to ask before the thing happens, whatever the thing is, say, hey, what do you think is going to happen? Then you do the thing, you capture their organic reaction while the thing is happening, and then after, okay, what did you think about what happened? How did it differ from what you thought was going to happen? And getting that kind of like before, during, and after, like that's kind of a like checkbox list of like things that you want to do as you're shooting.
Now, aside from the vlog, you're always flying and ripping bandos and freestyles, but is there something you want to do more of, minus the cameras? What are your fly goals?
My flying goals? That is a good question. I just want to keep getting better. You know, I don't want to like stagnate. I don't want to get comfortable. And fly more with people that push me, right? So no one pushes me more than Vanover. I love flying with that kid. I just feel like when we're flying together, you know, I'm watching him fly and I'm just like, oh, he's better than me. You know, like there are things that he does, I'm just like, this I can't do that. So we as the community, we're always getting our news from social media and vloggers and content creators and stuff. Where do you get your news? Are there any channels that you like to follow and where you get your material from, your media? You know, when I do want to watch something, I'm more looking to be like, you know, entertained rather than informed. So
do you watch more freestyle and bandos, or do you watch race footage?
I do not follow racing much at all. I've gotten a lot more into racing since hanging out with Vanover more, and since he joined the team, and since he's kind of taught me more about how the racing format works. Like now when I go to a race, I actually know what the hell's going on, and I'm like, oh, it's chase the eights. Oh shoot, chase the eights. But as far as you know, videos go, yeah, I just like watching freestyle or, you know, FPV vlogs that have something unique about them, or like a really cool person. Like been watching GU a lot just because he's such like a genuinely nice guy. And then like Tack, his vlogs are just hilarious. You know, he's got that different kind of style. So yeah.
So what's coming up next with your vlog and your channel?
A big thing I'm working on is my new like super studio. In my new home in Florida, there's a big room that I'm dedicating toward my hobby and creative space, and setting up this like pretty large space to serve everything that I want to do, both with building drones and like to an extreme level. And I've been like not wanting to show much any of it on YouTube, but we are in it right now, so you're getting a little bit of a preview. That's my workbench back here. I've got my office right ahead of me, and then there's a ton of more things over there. Yeah, I mean, like literally like building stuff to be in it. So I'm really excited to reveal that and have that as a tool for making my videos, you know, kind of like a Casey Neistat inspired creative space.
So diving into Rotor Riot and the crew, who are the current members of Rotor Riot?
The current members of Rotor Riot include myself, Jeff Orta, aka Vortex, Alex Vanover, aka Captain Vanover, Corey Tapp, that's Cricket FPV, and Joshua Bardwell, aka Joshua Bardwell.
What do you look for when you're finding that next team member?
For our team, there's definitely a package that we're looking for, and flying skill is almost second or third on the list. It's important.
Good, I got a chance.
We want amazingly talented pilots to be part of the team. That's paramount to, you know, the core foundation of Rotor Riot. But almost more important is, you know, how that person is on camera and how they can connect with an audience and and not only make that audience smile and entertain them, but also provide information and education. And then so maybe that's number one, and number two is positivity. Someone that wants to grow the community in a positive way, and especially like we mentioned with this regulation, someone that's that can see how we can all fly safely, but still edgy. You can be edgy and fly in bandos and do awesome tricks while still complying with FAA regulations. So that's probably 1 and 2, and then number 3 is be a badass pilot, right?
So you moved from Detroit to Florida to spread up the new headquarters and be with Rotor Riot. And Rotor Riot has evolved a lot in the last 5 years or so. And now that you're coming up on almost a year as president, what do you see in the future for Rotor Riot? What do you see next year?
In the next year of FPV, I think regulations are a big thing. And I think there's a lot that's going to shake out, and I think we want to try and be involved in a way that can help shape regulations that we can all kind of get down with. We want to be involved however we can, because we do believe in safe flying. We do believe that we can come to a set of regulations that everyone can comply with and still practice the spirit of freestyle, which is flying in cool locations and doing acrobatic flight. And I'm excited to see the industry move through that hurdle, because I think the lack of clarity on regulations is a big thing that prevents people from getting into it. People don't know if it's legal or if it's going to be legal, and it scares away a lot of newcomers, right? So getting more clarity on that and getting a set of rules that can be supported by the community, I think will help grow the community. And I don't think that's how a lot of people see it.
I consider ourselves an action sport. And just like some of those others, like Krusty Demons of Dirt and like Nitro Circus, sometimes they skirt the edge of what's legal and what's not, or what's accepted from the community. And I personally believe that it's a part of the evolution of the sport. Like you said, regulations aren't clear in some areas, and sometimes the regulations are a little overboard. And as a hobby and as somebody that just loves this, we're still trying to push the sport and find our niche. And so I don't look at it as you're a detriment to the sport. I look at you as pushing the limits. May not be accepted by everybody, but we all got to push the limits. Snowboarding started with some little ground tricks. Now they're doing triple cork 1440s. And that couldn't come around without people constantly pushing the envelope. So some people might say Rotor Riot is reckless. I think they're just kind of skirting the edge, trying to progress the sport in a fun, entertaining manner for the rest of us. How do you feel being the president of Rotor Riot and some of the claims saying you guys might be a little reckless?
I've been skateboarding in places that I'm not supposed to skateboard since I was 13, and then after that, I was, parking my car in parking lots after the businesses closed, and we were doing car meets and getting chased. Like, I've always been chased by the cops, so I'm not. I don't think it's that big of a deal, in a sense.
I'm not doing it to break the laws, and I'm definitely not hurting anybody. And
Right.
Safety is always at the top of our brain. If we're hopping a fence to fly a bando or something, we know nobody's there and nobody can get hit by our drones.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think safety plays a huge factor, even with skateboarders trying to grind an urban rail.
Yeah. And the other thing is, when I see, if I get a complaint about flying at an abandoned building, or flying at an office park or something, and someone's like, "You're threatening the hobby," I'm like, no, this is the hobby. Flying in a cool place, that's the whole point of this. So if we stop doing that, we're not even doing it. So now, by contrast, there's another type of kind of infraction, right? And that's with the actual Federal Aviation Authority, right? The FAA. I try to be 110% legal when it comes to airspace, for two reasons. One, that's way more likely to be a safety issue. We can obviously see how flying in close proximity to an airport could create a real safety issue. Now, I do think for what we do, the rules are a little bit too tight. A real learning moment for us was the bridge dive, and I hate to bring that up because such a source of drama. But we flew along this bridge, and we dove down the side of it, and many FPV pilots before us and after us have done this and posted it to their channels, and there haven't been an issue. And I fully believe that the flight that we did was safe. However, that doesn't necessarily mean it was legal, and violating that sort of legal, violating the law in that sort of way could create more of a threat to the hobby. So that's not something that you want to push it in that way. And then on top of that, as it turns out, there were no charges filed against us. We were investigated by the aviation authority of the country we were in, and they came back to us about 8 months later and said, yeah, there's no charges. It matters what's safe and legal, but it also matters how it's going to be perceived. And we have this responsibility that we didn't realize we have, and now we operate with it much more in the front of our head, this responsibility to provide for a safer and more legal perception. We have to set the good example, and before that, it's not something we really thought we had to do.
Yeah, I definitely think Rotor Riot started off as a cool niche of friends getting together and having fun antics, and then you've totally evolved from content creators to influencers, whereas
right,
people look up to you, they look for your information, and they but they think that you're always going to steer them in the right direction, when it's like, hey, we're just out here having fun too, and it's like, don't take us too seriously. It's still just a group of guys trying to have fun.
With Chad Capper started Rotor Riot with the mission to capture the truthful, organic experience of the hobby, and just let the pilots do what they want and capture that experience. And Rotor Riot, kind of by necessity, has evolved into what we now have to treat as example setting and influencing. And I hate the word influencer. That was created to by companies to describe social media personalities that they partner with to influence people to buy certain products. And that's not what we're trying to do, and we don't want to influence people in their flying practices either. But whether that's what we wanted to do or not, that's what it's become. And so we essentially found ourselves with this great power, and now it's time to have great responsibility.
You guys are influencers in a sense that you're at the top of the FPV game as far as people finding your material, watching what's going on, having the fun antics, and then you have your set crew, but you also end up branching out and meeting all these other people too, and making friends all over the country because the community is so supportive and so friendly. And you're not pitching and selling like, oh, you need the Rotor Riot frame and you need these motors and stuff. But I have noticed that the Rotor Riot store has been growing a lot larger and bringing in a lot more brands. Do you plan on expanding the Rotor Riot store and keep growing that as a retail store for everyone to find things?
Well, yeah. So Rotor Riot at its core is a media company. We make YouTube videos. That is not something that generates income directly. What YouTube pay, we make, what is it, $700 a month from our YouTube channel, from YouTube ad revenue. That's not enough to run a company off of. It's not enough to pay for the cost of productions. We fly our pilots in, we build sets, we buy obstacles and parts and drones for the shoot. So the show is funded by the various forms of business behind the scenes. Right now, the biggest being our online store. So yeah, I say I don't want to influence people to buy certain products. I don't want to trick people into it or whatever, but I do want people to understand that if they like the show and they want to support it, that buying, say, our motors through our store has a big impact on helping us. And it's very appreciated, and it helps us continue to do what we do, because we have to fund the show somehow. So that's why, yeah, you're going to see plugs in every episode saying, yeah, visit our Rotor Riot store at rotorriot.com and pick up some fresh Vortex motors, right? Because it supports what we do.
Is there anything that Rotor Riot's coming out with soon that you can tease us, or any hints towards any productions you're working on, any events, or any products?
What can I say? Yes, we have a 6S motor coming out that is developed by a top racer. And I'm really excited for this. It's a really premium motor that our pilot has been testing and changing his mind and his specs on for almost a year. Has it been over a year? It has been a long time, and there have been many samples from different suppliers and different factories trying to find the perfect recipe for this motor. So glad to see something that's had a lot of meticulous thought put into it coming out soon. And as far as events goes, Quad Camp is something that we are looking to kick back off soon. It was kind of we haven't done as many this year. It's kind of been put on a little bit of a break. We did a lot in 2018. Setting up headquarters in Orlando, Florida, and a lot of the challenges that came with that, as well as a lot of behind the scenes changing how we want to approach our content production, kind of take it to the next level and have a better focus on how we want to serve our audience. But now that those things have kind of stabilized, we want to get the quad camps going again.
Well, thank you so much for spending a little time with us and talking about your vlog and Rotor Riot. I'm sure you helped clear the air a bunch with what your mission is as Rotor Riot in the future. And we all look forward to what's going to be coming next from you and the community. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me on, man. It was a lot of fun.
It was a real pleasure talking with Drew for over an hour. I did edit a lot of the video because we tend to ramble on, and I cut it to the short and sweet. But the one thing you should take from this is that you can be flying legally, but unsafe. And you can fly illegally, but in a completely safe manner. But no matter how you fly, keep in mind your actions can have unintended consequences for the whole community. But if you fly responsibly, we can all benefit from this sport. Thanks again, and until next time, keep ripping packs.
The outro where you want to hit all the points of, oh, thank you for watching. Make sure to visit the store because that's what supports the channel, and hit the subscribe button and hit the bell button because the subscribe button doesn't even do anything anymore, and all those things. So.